And good evening and welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. My guest this evening is Ray Andrewsen from AM 1220 WQUN. Ray, welcome. How are you?
Good to be back, Pete.
Good to see you. It's been a while.
It has been from spring or summer, and here we are.
I was going to say.
Thanksgiving is all done.
Yeah.
And here we are heading into the end of the year.
That's right.
Amazing.
Christmas is next.
Yes, it is.
Christmas is next. So what's going on at the station?
Well, we're continuing just being busy place that we've always been with our three local shows, morning, midday, and afternoon. Our news department is still active, and now it's Bobcat season. So as we're taping this, it's men's and women's college basketball for Quinnipiac and also men's hockey. Men's hockey team's really good this year.
Are they?
They're a top 10 team, very much back in the hunt for possibly getting to the Frozen Four with this squad. Don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves,
exactly,
but they're good. And the women's team, Trish Fabri's team, is quite good. And we've really got an up and up program for men. They're sort of on the rebound. And Baker Dunleavy's an excellent coach, so they're playing well, off to a good start. So we're just doing our usual community work in entertainment and rock and roll and disco and oldies and all the great music from the 60s, 70s, and 80s back when we wore flammable clothing.
There you go.
Yeah.
And from what you said during your opening, you actually have a full service news department at the station.
Yes, with Greg Little, our news director, and Bob Mortali middays, and Mike Lyle in the afternoon, and Susan DeWalt and Paul Baselli. We have a lot of other people who out there covering stories when we get an opportunity, and of course all the studio guests we have for our three local shows. And our public affairs program, Reporter at Large, which is hosted by Greg Little, our news director. Community leaders, just like you do, we do the same thing, only on radio.
There you go. Actually, Greg and I have actually shared some guests for Reporter at Large.
Yes, that's right.
Which is actually a good thing.
Yeah. Well, we enjoy doing public affairs and community interviews like this. I mean, we see the people in our towns, and you're a local icon. People know you when you're on the streets here, and all the great staff here at Valley Shore Television. I mean, you are part of the glue that keeps this area, the state of Connecticut, together with all the guests that you bring in, and it's an important style of broadcasting.
It is an important style of broadcasting. Speaking of broadcasting, I believe we have some footage from when me and my crew visited you at the studios not long ago. Let's take a look.
All righty.
All right. Ray, I was wondering if you can tell us what we're looking at.
We're looking at very bad pants. and the brightest green shirt I wear for golf. And the reason I'm wearing those cheerful colors is I was about to play golf.
I was going to say, yes, you were.
Yeah, and there you are. You fellas do a great job, and I'm glad that you visited that day. That was fun to have you there.
That was a fun day.
It really was. And obviously it's summertime.
Right, yeah.
And the living is plaid.
Yes.
And we had a great interview in talking about what you all do here.
Right.
I mean, the work you do at VSC-TV, I think I got the letters right.
You did, very good.
Is critical, but reverse that into a radio studio like that. You get a chance to see, and our viewers have an opportunity to see all the work, the computer screens.
Yeah.
And where I do the morning show, Greg is in early at 4:30 to prep news. I'm in at 5:30. I have the luxury of being a little later.
Yes. With
my type of work as the morning host there. And many of our interviews are pre-recorded. We've done them earlier because events don't move if they're fixed on a Saturday or Sunday or upcoming.
Right.
Entertainment venues, lectures, and whatnot.
Correct.
So we really take a lot of pride in what we do. And I love the fact that we've served over 400 community organizations annually in the greater New Haven area and statewide.
Really?
That includes advertisers, that includes nonprofit organizations, for-profit organizations, everything from the arts, community groups, local community leaders who were interviewed. We documented all of this, so that's more than one per day per interview. So 400, we're really closing in on perhaps realistically 600 to 700 all told when you factor in all our statewide coverage and national news coverage too. That's a lot.
Wow, very impressive.
Yeah. So what were your opinion? You guys are there. Chris knew you came in, had a great time. You saw the studio. You felt at home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally. It's a very for my viewers and listeners that don't know, you guys are actually very accommodating for me when we stop by. It's very home eats. It's basically a home, another home away from home.
Well, Quinnipiac designed the building that way. We have a little conference room.
Yep.
We do have community meetings. We have our own meetings in there, of course. We welcome in the local chambers of commerce. We're very active with the Hamden Regional Chamber of Commerce, the Quinnipiac Chamber of Commerce, Cheshire Chamber of Commerce, and the Greater New Haven Chamber of Commerce. And obviously Shoreline, West Haven, other communities, we're also engaged with them too, because our spread is the Greater New Haven area.
Right.
And that building serves as sort of a home for people. They can come and have meetings and engage in community affairs and whatnot. Right now, this time of the year, we're doing our senior gift run. We've been doing this for 9 years and running. And this was originally Steve Savino's idea when Steve was our operations manager and assistant general manager. Steve came up with the idea of collecting gifts for some seniors who are in need in the greater Hamden area. And we're having our big party. Some of our viewers still have an opportunity to perhaps donate at some of the checkpoints and places around Hamden. December 7th is our party. Santa comes and the mayor comes and we sing Christmas carols and have a lot of food and cookies and nice lunch. And it's really a lovely day. And we have about 30, I'd say 30 places, drop-off points and businesses around Hamden right now that are participating. We're very proud of that.
I was going to say, I'm assuming one of those drop-off locations is WQUN Radio.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, it's funny, since I grew my beard a year ago, and Greg's always had a beard or a goatee.
That's right.
For some mysterious reason, right on top of our donation box, somebody put 2 cans of Barbasol shaving cream. So I don't know if that's a hint, but that was interesting to find that in the last week.
I actually, and I'm not sure if you've seen this before. I actually was on the app the other day during the morning show.
Yes.
And when the profile picture pops up, it's actually you without a beard.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I looked at it, I'm like,
yeah,
that's right. I'm like, I forgot what he looked like without a beard.
Well, I have the beard on AM, but when I'm online or on app, I'm clean shaven.
There you go.
Yeah. That's actually, nobody knows this, but that's actual federal law. You have to be clean shaven when you stream. That's not true, but I thought it would be a great way to explain why I have 2 images of shaven or unshaven, as it were.
There you go. So tell us a little bit about Ray Andrewsen and basically his career.
Well, it's been around for a long time now. My goodness.
Let's talk about it.
Oh my! I've been broadcasting for well over 3 decades, and in places like Waterbury, Connecticut, where I started radio, Boston, enjoyed that, Washington D.C., and then back to Middletown, Connecticut, what was then WCNX, now WMRD. I managed that for a short period of time, a couple of years, before coming to Quinnipiac 22 years ago, and I've enjoyed it. It's an opportunity to do Main Street community broadcasting. It fits my values. I have a lot of creative freedom and certainly support from the university. They've been great over 22 years. The university doesn't have to own a radio station.
No.
And the commercial environment in this modern day and age, and the reason we have consolidation, big groups owning radio stations, is that the single unit, double unit, AM or FM or double AM combinations are a real challenge from a business perspective. Some of them make it work, some of them really are struggling to be able to do that with all of the costs associated with operating that type of business. Now, I don't mean to be negative, because I'm very proud of what we're doing in business for us, and our service is terrific. But the university doesn't have to own the radio station, but they're very proud they own the radio station. And we had great support over many years from the administration for what we do as a service to Hamden, to North Haven, our 2 towns where the university is located, and the greater New Haven area. And we're out in the community a lot. We do a lot of things and engaged in board work, with volunteer work, with organizing food, clothing drives, our senior gift run I've mentioned as well. And also just entertainment. You know, we're MCs a lot. We go out, and Brian Smith, Pam Landry, and myself, we like being out with people and greeting and meeting people.
Exactly. Yeah, Brian Smith did a event not long ago. I believe for the gift run at Kelly's.
Yes, he handed out ice cream cones.
That's right, yeah,
It
yeah.
was difficult work for him. He had a Santa cap on head, nose was red, and he was handing out peppermint stick and pumpkin swirl and all sorts of great flavors from Kelly's. And you got your ice cream cone if you brought in a gift. Now that was in November. In November is we're about wrapping up our collection time.
Right.
However, Brian enjoys that. He enjoys doing things. He's great with people.
Yeah.
And I think handing out ice cream cones, as he said on our spots, your doctors advise you
to eat ice cream.
You need more ice cream.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and I think some folks took that to heart when they came in that day.
Now tell me something. On the morning show with you guys, you said you've been there for
22 years.
22 years?
Yeah.
Has your news person changed?
I believe, well, he may have showered too, I hope.
I hope
but,
so.
Let's see. Greg is a great guy and a perfect, we're a good chemistry. We have a great chemistry together. He's a professional. He is very much fastidious about his writing and his fact-checking as well. He's a veteran. He was in Waterbury Radio for about, before coming to our place, probably about 10 years. So he's been in broadcasting for about 30 years, doing news, being a news director. And he's easy to work with.
He is.
He's our big teddy bear.
Exactly.
I mean, you always know where Greg is in the building because you hear his laugh.
Exactly.
And it's infectious. He likes to laugh. That's not an act. If you listen to the station, the man you hear on the air and off the air are the same person. He's genuinely an easygoing teddy bear of a guy.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed to have somebody who thinks I'm funny, which I don't know how large that coterie would be. So it's great to have someone like him who's around, and we've been good friends too. He's a good person.
He is. I like him a lot. I've dealt with him as well. Would you mind sticking around for another second?
I'll be right here.
We'll be right back.
And we may even hand out ice cream cones to our viewers.
There you go.
Attention travelers, next Tuesday a major power outage will cause complete chaos throughout the city. Water, phone, and internet service will be in short supply. There will likely be panic citywide. Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Disasters? Don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
And welcome back to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. Sitting here with Ray Andrewsen from AM 1220 WQUN. Ray, welcome back.
Good to be here.
Good to be back. So we were talking a little bit during the break about the radio, about the station in the first segment. And let's talk about how wonderful your app is for WQUN Radio.
Well, you can download us and take us anywhere.
Yeah.
And, I suppose if you're going in for surgery, you probably don't take your app into the operating room, but you can take us in a lot of other locations.
Right.
It's like a transistor radio. People don't think of it this way.
No.
And you can actually take this device
and hold it up to your ear.
Hold it up to your ear with the buds as well.
Right.
And this actually now is your transistor radio in a contemporary sense.
Yes.
And because of podcasting, because of TuneIn app, because of iHeart, and all the apps that you can have, you can get the world. You get radio everywhere now, all around the world. You can listen to Ghana, Cuba, well, maybe not Cuba, but you can listen to Mexico, you can listen to Norway, wherever you want to tune into a radio station.
Right.
And this little device will allow you to do that.
Yes.
And you can get the WQUN app and download that, and you can hear us and take us anywhere you want to go. And you can be a little teenager again.
Right.
So it's a very attractive app that we have.
Is.
And we play our music.
Yeah.
And it's holiday sounds with somebody, I believe David Bowie and Bing Crosby.
I think so.
And there's Bing.
There you go.
So there's Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And you can have your little transistor radio, and you can hide in bed and listen.
There you go. Very cool. What a very
And that is that.
What a very cool idea.
And I think, when we think about new technologies, sometimes at first I think it's just natural, even gadget people, people who like new gadgets. I think you take a step back like, what's important about, what's good about this? How does this work? Is this something that I want?
Right.
I think it's an easier way to access radio because you don't have the interference. The audio quality is getting much better now, much better. There's devices you can have in your take it in the kitchen, in your house, wherever you want to be. If you're on your back patio in the summertime, it works. It's a great way, I think, to access modern media.
It is, and not only can you listen online, but you can also throw a request in.
Yes, you can.
That's right.
Yeah, and if just please don't request the singing dogs singing Jingle Bells this season.
Please, no.
Please don't do that to us. But maybe somebody likes that, I'm sure. But
singing dogs or singing news directors?
Both.
Oh, no.
Cap on head. It's funny in terms of requests. I'm always flattered sometimes when somebody calls in with an obscure request, and I'm able to facilitate that.
Right.
Because that tells me, and I'm very happy, that they know that we're different.
Right.
That we're not a radio station as a canned playlist of 150 songs that we just keep recycling.
Moving and moving.
Yeah, I heard that yesterday. Even an oldie station, a lot of places, they're very short, tight playlists. And structurally, there's reasons why the industry has that. Right. Because of the whole licensing issues and just how that's tightened up. These days, rather than being a more creative medium than we used to be at one point. Right. We had wider playlists, and maybe somebody, before this is not payola, but somebody would want to highlight a new local band. We wouldn't have the Cars in Boston or NRBQ here in Connecticut if we didn't have someone advocating for their music, locally, and radio stations that would play the music. Right. And I'm glad we could do that. I'm glad we can be a little bit different and a little local that way.
Speaking of local and being in the community, you're also on the board of directors for the Hamden Regional Chamber of Commerce?
That's correct, right, yeah.
Did I get the title
yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes, you did.
I was going to say Nancy would probably...
Yeah, Nancy Dudchik, our executive
beat
director.
Me over the head if I got it wrong.
Yeah, our president, I should say,
yes.
of the chamber. And she's been doing this now for about a dozen years. And very successful local chamber. We're really lucky, I think, to have good leadership in key positions in business in New Haven. I think a lot of communities, when you realize the turnover rates are fairly high, but we've had long-standing, good, sound leadership and a lot of creative events. And that's very hard in this contemporary modern day and age with so many other venues, so many other ways to generate business. And in the younger demographics, if you go into the millennials and younger, they tend not to be meeters.
Right.
They're not into the cocktail party meeting and greeting scene.
No.
They tend to do things electronically or more impulsively. Just how they do volunteering and how is the GoFundMe pages. We have a cause. I've created a GoFundMe page. Whereas in a different era of fundraising, it's been more annual. It's been like an annual fund. There's been a tradition attached to certain events. It's been part of the community. So it's interesting to see how that plays out. Chambers have been successful keeping their membership going because of the social aspect of it. You're meeting people.
Exactly.
And that's how you and I met,
right.
Fellow broadcaster. And I'd rather do business with somebody I know. I can see them. And I say this especially with my barber. If you're going to cut my hair and you have sharp instruments around my head, I want to know you.
Yes, please.
Yeah, and especially my dentist, my doctor, anybody. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a very, very cool idea. And what else can we talk about as far as broadcasting goes? Maybe tell us something that we don't know.
Well, what I think a lot of people aren't paying attention to is radio will turn 100 years old in the year 2020. Now, you would think, with perfect vision and TV, it would be television. But 2020 will mark the 100-year anniversary of the first commercial broadcast of radio, which was on KDKA in Pittsburgh, November 2nd, 1920. They went on the air that evening for an hour to broadcast election results to the greater Pittsburgh area from the Harding Cox election. And think about that time frame 100 years ago. Not many people remember it. So radio has been steadfast. It has evolved over a long period of time in many different ways, a variety of ways. News, information, war coverage, international coverage. It was shortwave radio that beamed back all the war reporting from World War II, for example, with the Korean War and Vietnam. Things have changed dramatically now, and how that's done. But even in terms of a music medium, it was more of a sitcom and show, and all the golden age of radio featured live music in studio, not pre-recorded music that we're so accustomed to today. It's already been studio produced.
Right.
Post-World War II, with television's rise, that changed, and TV was supposed to kill radio. Radio changed. It became something different. And then FM was going to kill AM. Well, AM evolved into largely a talk medium,
right,
and that became something different. So it's been an adaptable business, but I think it's remarkable that something has hung on and been relevant and still reaches well over 270 million people in the United States every day.
Wow.
Every day,
Wow.
270 million people. Now, I'm not saying they listen for a whole hour,
right,
and they don't have their iPhone, they're not in their, their bed listening like this. But people access radio, whether it's in their place of business, in their car, in their home, if they're making breakfast, if they're making dinner, if they happen to be out at a beach, beach party or someone's house. That's a very large swath of the population that accesses radio in a very meaningful way. So it's still a very popular medium for advertising and for getting messages across. But here it is, 270 million people, 100 years later. And I think that's phenomenal. The radio has stood the test of time.
It is. And I believe you're also on the board of directors for the Connecticut Broadcasters Association?
Yes, yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Well, I haven't been for 100 years, but I've been there for 5 years. And it's television and radio. It's all broadcasters, general managers from local television stations are all represented here in the state. A lot of our community broadcasters in western and eastern Connecticut, stations in Litchfield and Norwich, Willimantic, for example. But of course, our core cities, our larger cities. And also we have representation from public radio as well is on our board. And we just sponsored the gubernatorial debate back in October with 3 candidates, including independent Oz Griebel, who made the cut. He's at 11% of the polls. And we had Republican and Democratic candidates who were part of that. So we provide services, we provide scholarships. If anyone is watching this, we've had many people who have been here at this television venue who have gone through broadcasting schools locally. We provide scholarships to local college students seeking a career in broadcasting. So please keep that in mind if you're watching this and you know somebody pursuing that at not in a Connecticut school necessarily. It can be an accredited school, community college, it could be a 2-year program, a 4-year program. You can apply for these scholarships, and that's also what the Connecticut Broadcasters Association has been doing for many years. And we also partner with the Connecticut National Guard. Text 911. We provide community services. We created the Amber Alert, and many people are familiar with what that does. And we also oversee our other administrative duties to keep broadcasting healthy here in the state of Connecticut.
Cool. Now, what can people expect when they listen to the station during the day? Let's say somebody take us through a normal day rundown starting at about, let's say, 6 a.m. on Tuesday morning.
Well, tomorrow's Tuesday. We're here in the studio on a Monday evening while we're taping this program. And, we'll be in. Greg Little and I will be in. We will have an intern, a student there, who will be assisting us in the news department tomorrow. We're on 6 to 10. And we have local news, and we also have local weather forecast with meteorologist Gary Lassor. We also partner with Channel 3, WFSB at this point. They do a great job with our weather. And,
absolutely.
We partner with news coverage as well. So that's a nice relationship. A lot of music. So it's quite varied, which is what 60s, 70s, and 80s Top 40 was. It was fairly wide expanse of music. So it's the Carpenters, the Rolling Stones, it's Donna Summer, it's the Beatles, it's also a lot of other groups that are, I can be on here talking all day about all the music we play.
Right.
But that's during the morning.
Okay.
And then we have 2 afternoon shows. Pam Landry, Lunch with Landry's 12 to 3. We do have music from 10 to 12 as well, rock
Yep.
music and oldies on our station. 12 to 3 is Pam Landry, Lunch with Landry, partnering up with Bob Mortelli, who does our midday news.
Yep.
Brian Smith in the afternoon.
There you go.
If we have Lunch with Landry, we have Snacks with Smith. Brian shows 3 to 6. And
Yep.
Mike Lyle is in the newsroom at that point.
Yep.
And then music all night. You can have us on. We are CBS affiliate. We have CBS National News throughout the day as well. So we keep people informed and up to date. And because we're local for such a large part of the day, we can react to events that are going on in both the news department and in our local shows.
Exactly, and I'm sure you as well as I are going to agree on this, that serving your community and being the local pillar of your community is a very important thing.
It is. We take great pleasure and pride in that. I'd rather know the people who are listening.
Exactly.
Rather than that generic broadcast to ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
or a large expanse of listeners out there.
Yeah.
I don't know how that really. It's kind of hard to derive a lot of pleasure from that, but it's nice to go into aisle 5 of a local grocery store and see someone that you know.
Exactly.
And they know us.
There you go.
Yeah, that we enjoy that a lot. All of us at the station, we really are very passionate about what we do.
App one more time before we say goodnight. What is it?
It is the WQUN app. So you download the app, go to your iTunes store. You can go right to our website, WQUN.com. You can also download our app, take us anywhere you want to go, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Ray Andrewsen from AM 1220. Thanks a lot, my friend.
Thank you, and happy holidays to you, Pete, and all this great staff here. It's great to be here.
You as well. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Excellent. On behalf of Ray Andrewsen, I'm Pete Mezzetti. Thanks, good night. We'll see you next time.